The UN has warned of a looming refugee crisis in Malawi, where a number of Mozambicans have fled following clashes between government forces and the opposition Mozambique resistance wing Renamo. In Monza, 100 kilometers from the capital Lilongwe, UNHCR says over 1,000 people, mostly women and children, have been registered on arrival and hundreds more are still waiting official entry. Ashley Mazuri with more.
On top of the struggles of food shortage, long drought as a result of the El Nino weather phenomenon and a stagnant economy in Malawi. Yet, over 2,000 Mozambicans have fled to Malawi in a bid to escape ongoing clashes between the government force of Mozambique and rebels in the coal mining province of Tete. According to refugee accounts of events, soldiers attacked, killing and even burning down houses of villagers believed to be harboring opposition party members.
I saw government soldiers fighting with civilians and then mobilized and started running away to reach this place.
UNHCR has registered 1,297 refugees, with 2/3 of them being women and children, while 900 are still awaiting registration.
What brought me to Malawi is the death of my brother. Government soldiers caught him in the village. They tied both his hands and legs and blindfolded him and then beat him to death. They then threw him in his house and burnt the house. I could not stand that. I quickly picked my child and a few utensils and started running away. I spent one day before reaching this camp.
Despite escaping fights in their homeland, hoping to find greener pastures, all is not well as there are concerns of spread of diseases in the camp.
My greatest fear here is cholera. I know that cholera can kill within a day if not treated promptly. Malaria is better off, but cholera is deadly. One will die before sunset.
Most of the people, they are traveling long distances, so it's like they are sleeping in uncovered area. So most of them, you find that they are sick, affected with the malaria. Yeah, so there is a really high increase of malaria for most of the patients here.
Officials in Mwanza district in Malawi are, however, trying to support the various refugee families. Ashley Mazuri, KTN News.
So I want to shift gears quite a little bit now on Bottomline East Africa. Musicians in Sudan's Blue Nile region bring out their waza trumpets to celebrate the harvest season. Made from the pumpkin plant, the waza is played along with horns in cultural events, providing a much-needed sense of entertainment for the people of Sudan.
In the last days of the sorghum harvest season in Sudan's Nile region, traditional waza musicians come out with their instruments, which they made from the shanks of shallow pumpkin plants. They bring their waza trumpets from stores and wash to prepare them to easily accompany melodious singing.
We wet it with water to tune the instrument. If we do not wet it, it will not play. We wet its body to enhance the voice, because when it is dry, it will not work.
Before the band in the Guinea's village of the Blue Nile state starts to play and select different sizes of the waza, they then rehearse and tune their instruments ahead of the performance. They also carefully select horns which act as percussion instruments. The horns have to be easy to hold to enable the musicians play the waza at the same time.
This horn should be shallow and strong as we hit the wood for the rhythm. The members of the band use their legs to control the rhythm. They serve the same purpose as drums for us.
When they are ready, the musicians hit the road and head into the village. Over 10 instrumentalists play together and entertain gathering crowds.
When we move it like that, it means you are trying to draw the attention of one of the band's members to say that he is making a mistake.
Various communities in Sudan play the waza, with many creating orchestral compositions. Dafala is a researcher studying Sudanese art and culture. He says the waza's distinct sound is key to understanding the music here.
The existence of the waza in this community and environment determines how it is played and received. Here it is well loved and people receive and understand the music. But if it is taken to another environment, it could be perceived as dissonant.
Skilled waza musicians ensure they pass on their knowledge to the next generation. Hassan Abdul Rahim teaches a group of students at least 3 times a week.
This is our heritage and we will not abandon it. I have a band of young players who come to train 3 times a week. When our term comes to an end, they will replace us in playing.
Sudan's Blue Nile region has experienced fighting between rebels and government forces since 2011. For the people here, cultural events like the Waza performances provide a much-needed sense of normalcy. Wind ensembles like the Waza are common in communities and ethnic groups across North and West Africa. Trix Ingado, KTN News, Nairobi.
For that, a little more enlightened on where we are headed with ICT in the region. Okay, so we want to take you all the way to Benin. This year's Voodoo Day celebrations were marked there with pomp and ceremony. The colorful event was characterized with dancing to the sounds of drums, and animals were slaughtered for the ceremony. This year, the focus is the upcoming presidential elections in February. Many sought favor with the ancestors and prayed for peace during the polls.
Practitioners from Africa and America gathered to offer prayers and sacrifice for peace during Benin's national voodoo holiday. Hundreds of followers of the traditional religion gathered in towns across the country to pray for calm during the presidential election scheduled for February.
This is a great moment, and it is clear that we must take care of our tradition. It is thanks to this tradition that we are alive. We have a duty to worship our gods, and so this festival is an opportunity to pray and make sacrifices for peace and prosperity.
At a ceremony in Grand Popo, southwestern Benin, spiritual leader Ananara Agasa appealed for calm ahead of the elections.
Voodoo, like Christianity and Islam, preaches peace and love for one's neighbors. We also do the same. We want peace. We pray for peace in the whole world.
Priests sacrificed a chicken to appease their ancestors. Benin has no history of significant electoral violence, but campaigns have been overshadowed by a controversy over the ruling party's choice of candidate, Prime Minister Lionel Zinsua, a pick approved by outgoing President Thomas Boni Yayi.
The message is very clear. We need to pray for peace in Benin during the upcoming election and also for the world. Sacrifices are made for this, and we voodoo followers are very happy to live this moment of voodoo celebration.
The celebration of voodoo, a traditional African spirit religion that spread to America with the slave trade, were declared a national holiday in 1992. This year, they drew practitioners from nearby countries such as Togo, Ghana, and Nigeria, and locations as far as Haiti, Brazil, and the United States. Zinzi Kibiku, KTN News.
African culture at its best. So we want to wind up the show now, but with our final thoughts on the program this evening. Now, it is exactly 30 days to the elections in Uganda. The introduction of biometric voter verification system so late in the game is causing disquiet in parts of the country. This may be due to the bad experience in Kenya during the 2013 elections. Whilst the concerns should be addressed, we must also recognize and laud any efforts in ensuring the integrity of the vote. Even though Kenya had issues with the devices, there are some lessons to be learned from countries like Ghana. In 2012, Ghana deployed both the biometric voter register and biometric voter verification with great success. However, infrastructure and personnel needed to support the system must be put in place. Basics such as persons adequately trained to handle the machines, electricity or solar chargers for the identification devices are key. Despite the heat this issue is raising in Uganda, it is important to remember that this is a concept that is making waves in various sectors, from the banking industry, computer and internet enterprises, immigration, crime prevention, and law enforcement. It is the future. We laud Uganda for taking this step, but urge that all is put in place to ensure that this will be the hallmark of a free and fair election, rather than the scapegoat for a questionable process. That tonight is the bottom line. Thank you very much for watching the show. Like we said, we continue to take in your feedback. As always, please use the hashtag BottomlineEA. I have one here from Atuhaire Andrew. Say, I'm following. I love the depth of the news. Thanks for the data connectivity bit. It's very important for the EAC. Bayswater Queens talking about the story on voodoo in Benin. Says, and then questions are asked why Africa is poor. Because they have refused the blood of Calvary. Keep your comments coming in. The conversation continues, as always, online. We'll love to hear from you. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. Good night.